persons held as slaves within any state, the people whereof thenceforward and forever free. And the executive government of the United States will recognize such persons as being free, and will do no act or acts to repress such persons in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom.
After the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863, hundreds of thousands of newly freed African Americans had no place to go. Many of them remained on plantations in the South.
So it was a system, it was another system that was created right out after the emancipation. A lot of planters and farmers in the South had to find a way to keep people enslaved, because you talk about planters who knew nothing but planting. Who was going to work these thousands of acres of land?
A contract was created between the former slaves and plantation owners called the Freedman Contract. The sharecropper worked the planter's land, giving him 1/3 or more of the harvested crop. The sharecropper was required to purchase tools, seed, fertilizer, food, and clothing on credit at plantation stores. The rest of the crop was usually sold back to the plantation owners at whatever price they would pay.
A lot of the people couldn't buy their seeds, their clothing from any other store but the plantation store. So in most cases, the owner himself owned the store. You're not leaving my farm until you pay me what you owe me in voluntary servitude. I didn't volunteer to work here. I'm forced by gunpoint. I'm forced by laws. There's no way out for me.
I was held enslaved in Pike County, Mississippi. From Pike County, Mississippi to parts of Louisiana.
Maywall and her family escaped from slavery in 1963. 1963. At the time, they were unaware that slavery had ended.
When I think about 1963, that's the year I graduated high school from Landry. But these people were still in slavery.
Incidents of peonage were reported in 16 states throughout America in the 20th century.
It wasn't no saying that you wasn't going to go to the cotton field or to whatever field that you had to go to, because you was going dead or alive. So it didn't matter if you thought you didn't want to go, because you was going anyway.
So that's the question here. When did slavery end? Who kept slavery in the 20th century a secret?
This is to call your attention to the alleged peonage now existing in the flood relief camps at Vicksburg, Yazoo City, and other points in Mississippi. These people are herded into camps of 5,000 or more, and soldiers from the National Guard are used to let none out of these camps and to keep people from the outside from coming in and talking with them. And it is said that this condition of non-communication is to continue until the waters subside, and these free people can be hurtled back to the plantations. It is also said that the planters hold their labor at the point of a gun for fear that they would get away and not return. While the Red Cross is doing much, it is by no means without criticism. One of its great mistakes is that it tries to run things without spending money. Under such circumstances, the value of money must necessarily pale into insignificance.
When we're talking about slavery, everybody that was around was living the same kind of life that we was living. So I never knew that slavery was over.
Miss Miller, we got to be talking about some part of India or Africa or something. Surely, 1963, this couldn't happen in America.
If we can visualize slavery from the beginning of slavery, and we look at the same system that put us in slavery, how is it that we should have any doubt? Because it is not in the history books? Because many people refuse to look? How many of us went back into those rural areas to see if everybody left off these plantations at one time? Did we ask any questions? Where did they go? Who would they go to?
As I got older, I learned the daddy may be the sheriff. When you couldn't talk to nobody, no, everybody was in the same condition. The grandpa might be the judge. The son may be the DA.
So when someone come to me and say, I didn't get my freedom until 1965, I believe them because I've seen the index at the National Archives that said peonage cases to 1973.
I'm here at the National Archives located in Washington, D.C. in College Park. What you're looking at in these boxes here, these are what you call the peonage files. Many of these files was filed by the NAACP to the Department of Justice. But each one of these boxes would represent different states. There was 13 states that I filed peonage.
I want to call your attention to a part of the USA that has between 300 to 500 Negroes bound in slavery, according to information I received from a colored woman that escaped there Tuesday. She said that the boss man slapped her and she tried to resist him, and he hit her with a blackjack and broke her arm in 5 places, and it had to be taken off. It is off smooth to the shoulder. And this man is called Captain Boss. He has a big house with about 10 big fat Negro men that do not work, just stay in this big house. And the boss man makes the women go there and stay with these men 3 days, whether they want to or not. This man handles these people like they are cattle or hogs. This boss man mates these Negroes just like a farmer does his animals.
And in some counties and parishes, the sheriff, the constable, all of them worked together. So they had no outlet to talk to anyone about peonage.
You remember me telling you that my father tried to run away?
Yes.
And he ran through the woods, and when he ran up on the highway, he ran into some white people's in a buggy or a truck or something, and he had been beat. And he said, I got to get away. They said, boy, where are you going? He said, I don't know. I got a wife and children back there, but I've had all I can take.
So
I got to go somewhere.
He was going to leave the family because it was too much.
It was too much.
A man who loved his wife, a man who loved his children, who would die for his children, he was willing to leave his family.
He was willing to leave his family. He said that the white men told him, boy, I know somewhere we're going to take you. We're going to take you and enroll you in Uncle Sam's army. And my father said he was so relieved. They put him in that back of that wagon or whatever they had, laid him down. He said, and when he arose, he thought they had him where they had carried him, supposed to be after he run to help him get away. And he rode back on the plantation.
Did they beat him?
They beat him and beat him some more. They brought him back to the plantation, said, here this boy here. He was trying to run away.
I am handing you a letter from a darky, which is rather difficult to read, but which refers to the forced detention of a family on the plantation of Mr. Sel Jones, at or near Shockey, Mississippi. I will state that within the past month, at least 5 Negroes have been to me with pitiful tales as to the way they have been beaten up, leaving their families on this place. It looks as if peonage was practiced on this place to quite an extent, and if your department could make an investigation, I believe you would unearth a bad condition there. Earl Brewer, Governor.